All right, so this is the exercise I gave you today in class. So I thought it might be useful for me just to talk you through the choices that I've made here in terms of choosing the past, the passive, gerunds and infinitives. All right, so let's start at the beginning. Yesterday, Harold Douglas celebrated his 40th birthday. His 40th anniversary, hawking newspapers in San Francisco. Hawking means that he's selling them on the street. Okay, so he doesn't have a store or newspaper stand. He probably just holds on to the newspapers and tries to sell them to people that are walking by. That's what hawking means. Okay, all right. So he claims to have started. Whoops, sorry. Let's get rid of that. I was trying to change color here. I'll just leave it in purple. He claims to have started hawking newspapers on street corners before there were automatic street lights. Okay, so because we have this word before here, and we know that before is used in English to provide order of events, okay, that's what really supports this use of have started. Okay. If we said he claims to start hawking newspapers on street corners before there are automatic street lights, we lose what we call meaning, right? And we talked about that today in class. Okay. So in this case, because of the word before, we need to have the past over here in to have started. Okay, and he is proud of, so I gave you that hint on the sheet that I emailed you, okay? And after of, we need that gerund, okay? So he is proud of being known as the oldest hawker in San Francisco. Okay, it's passive because he's proud of being known by people. Okay, as the oldest hawker in San Francisco. He happily mentions being greeted yesterday. Oh, you know what? By dozens of people, so that's the reason for the passive. I think I'm going to change my mind here on this one. Okay, and say, he happily mentions having been, whoops, going crazy on the E's there. Being greeted. I wonder if that's what you put. Okay. He happily mentions having been greeted, and the reason why I changed that was because I suddenly spotted this word yesterday. Okay, but both of these are okay, right? The fact that it's yesterday just reinforces the idea of past, but yesterday also gives us an indication of past, so this one's all right as well. Okay, where am I? Okay, here I am. Let's switch back to purple because I like purple. He is happy to have been raised as a hard worker, and he has never liked sitting around. Okay, so happy is an adjective. Okay, and we know that adjectives and infinitives are lovers. So we've got happy to have, okay, and then been raised, right, by his parents. Okay, as a hard worker, and he has never liked sitting around. Here, if we say he is happy to be raised as a hard worker, this would mean that that he's not an adult. I don't know, is that hard to read? This would mean that he is still a child. And that doesn't really make sense with the story. Oop. Okay, if we have just to be raised and we don't have the to have here, then we've all of a sudden made Harold Douglas not an adult. Okay, he would be a child, and that doesn't make sense in the story. Okay, so to be raised is wrong. Okay, let's go back to continuing here. Okay, he refuses to be restricted to the house all day, staring out the window at nothing. Okay, so he refuses to be restricted by maybe circumstance, by the fact that he doesn't have a job, that would be his circumstance, but it needs to be passive here because he's restricted by something. Okay, and refuse is followed by the infinitive. Okay, he refuses to be restricted to the house all day, staring at the window at nothing. So he appreciates, plus gerund, being permitted to sell newspapers. So he's permitted, probably by the city, to sell newspapers every day on the street corner. He regrets, plus gerund, right? I gave you that information, having suffered from a severe case of pneumonia this past winter. Okay, and here's the reason why I've chosen to use the perfect in this case. He regrets suffering from a severe case of pneumonia this past winter. That would also be okay. I've gone off the screen. Hang on a sec. Where should I put this? I'll put it underneath. He regrets suffering. That's okay too. Okay? Both are okay. This past winter made me make the decision to reinforce the idea of order with using having. But the past winter also tells us that it's past, so we can stick with the simple as well. Okay, so both of those are okay. It's the same here as it is, these ones are the same here as these ones up here. Yeah, this one here. Okay. All right. Wow, what a mess. I hope you understood that. I'll clean it up and I'll just go through it one more time with a quick indication of everything that I've chosen here. Hang on a sec. I'm going to pause and erase. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm back. So here we are with a clean piece of paper again. So just going to go through this super fast. He claims. Claims is followed by the infinitive. So we have the infinitive to have. And then we've got the PP. We've got the PP because this is to have. He is proud. Proud of. Okay, though it's an adjective preposition combination. Okay, of as a preposition needs to have its love relationship with the gerund. Okay, so this is a gerund because of the preposition. This is the PP because this is passive. He happily mentions. Mentions is followed by a gerund. Here is our gerund. It needs to be passive, okay, because we've got by dozens of people here. The ED is the PP because we have passive. He is happy. Happy is an adjective. Adjectives are followed by infinitives. Happy to have been raised needs to be past because he's an adult, okay, and his being raised is over now. So we have an adjective plus the infinitive. Okay. Next one over, we have the PP here because this is have. We have a PP here because this is passive. He refuses to be restricted. Refuses is followed by the infinitive. It needs to be passive because you're restricted by something. So the infinitive is here because of refuses. The PP is here because of to be. He appreciates. Appreciates is followed by the gerund. Here we have the gerund. It needs to be passive because you're permitted by someone to do something. Okay? And the PP is here because this is passive. He regrets. Regrets here is followed by the gerund. We're talking about this past winter, so we're reinforcing the idea of order of events. So we have the gerund because it's regrets. We have the past having to reinforce the idea of last winter. And we have the PP because it's having. That was super fast, hey? In this instance here, and in, where was the other one? This one here, you could also have having. Whoops. Having, he happily mentions having been greeted. Okay, and in this one down here, he regrets suffering. In these two cases, whether or not we choose to have the past or the simple is up to you. Okay? All right, that was a super fast explanation, but it does take you through the whys and the hows of this. Okay? All right, I'll see you tomorrow on quiz day.